Thank you for joining us on another edition of the Flipafone podcast. I just wanted to take a minute here to make a quick disclaimer. Upon completion of this podcast, we found out that all of our audio sources were completely down. We didn't hear any voices coming out of them. We don't know exactly what happened. We had tons of technical difficulties on our third episode. So we thought the episode was complete scrap, and we were deeply disappointed because we thought it was such a great episode. But then we looked into the other audio sources, such as the cameras that are recording us, and we had a little bit of audio come out from there. But once we listened to it, we found out quickly that it was just horrible, horrendous, a lot of background noise. It just was very hard to understand what somebody was saying. But then I took a step back, and I'm like, we got to figure this out. We got to find a solution here. So I did a little bit of research, and I found a software called Adobe's Podcast AI. What it does is it uses AI to enhance the audio, and it's quite incredible. You can use something like your phone's microphone, and you can use this tool to enhance it. It'll make it sound like a professional microphone, just like on here. So I find it something that's super beneficial. If you guys want to, check out the software, we have the link at the bottom of the video. And if you have any questions, you can always hit us up. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment below. And we'll take it from there. Enjoy the episode. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Flipafone podcast, the ultimate podcast where we dive deep into the exhilarating world of technology. My name is Mike.
I'm Omar. I'm Samir.
And we're thrilled to be your hosts as we explore the latest advancements, trends, and breakthroughs that are reshaping our lives in extraordinary ways. From mind-boggling gadgets to revolutionary software, Flipafone is your one-stop destination to all things tech. So buckle up and prepare to flip your perspective on the future. Let's dive in. All right, guys, we got a lot of things to talk about today. First up, we'll get into NASA's mission to prevent the internet's apocalypse. What's that all about? We'll find out. Furthermore, is it the end of Reddit? We'll get into all of that stuff later today. Is Apple already working on a cheaper alternative of the AR and VR headset? We'll find out. We also have some new iPhone 15 Ultra news, Samsung Fold 5, and Google Pixel 8. Can't wait for that. Lastly, we'll finish off the podcast with some fun tech trivia as we always do. And if you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and hit that like button. And also don't forget to hit that notification bell to keep up with the latest videos. We would greatly appreciate it. Alright guys, let's start with the internet apocalypse. What is that all about? Don't worry, it's not something that's going to come in the next couple of months or anything like that. But NASA is saying that this might be something to be concerned about in the next decade or so. Now, I personally find this to be highly improbable, but let's see what we can unpack here. Akshay, do you mind putting up the article on what this is all about?
Yeah.
Now, I noticed that NASA always comes out with some sneaky and weird news here and there. Out there. What do we got?
You mean 1 moment. Perfect. Here we go.
So NASA mission to prevent internet apocalypse, which could leave people offline for months. A groundbreaking mission by NASA's Parker Solar Pro, PSP, has successfully ventured through solar wind for the first time, aiming to prevent people on Earth being unable to get onto the internet. Scientists have issued warnings about the potential impact of solar storm, commonly referred to as the internet apocalypse, which could strike within the next decade. All right, guys, a lot to unpack here, but let's just take a moment for a little second here. Let's just imagine what the world will look like if there was absolutely no internet and it completely disappeared in a blink of an eye.
I don't think you have to go too far back to imagine a world without the internet. We're talking 30-odd years here.
Okay.
But you have to appreciate how quickly the world has adapted to this becoming a need.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all know that was initially meant for the military, eventually became a communications model, the internet. And today, the world doesn't function without it. You just think of a day of your own lives without the internet. And for me, it takes me back to my childhood. Play games, I've recreational activities, meet my friends more often.
Yep.
So that's what I envisioned. Obviously, there's like a whole bunch of things we'll talk about.
Yeah, I just feel like we're so deeply ingrained into technology right now. It's just hard to envision. Now, let's not forget, if you're from Canada and you're from Ontario, you probably remember something like this kind of happened about, what was it, about 10 months ago to a year ago. And I think it was with a company named Rogers. So Rogers, they have a little bit of a reputation with this type of stuff going on. But they didn't have internet for the past 2 to 3 days, and it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out for us. And we had to completely change the way we had to do business. We couldn't sell our phones. As you guys know, we sell a lot of product online. We couldn't sell our phones online. Shopify stores are down. Hard to communicate with other people. Social media is down. Very, very difficult time. And I feel like it would create complete chaos in this time. Now, I think there's some cool benefits to this, but where could this go if this was to happen, Samir?
If this was to happen, it would have quite an impact on the entire world's economy. You have the internet now in almost every corner of the world. You have satellites, or you have some other form of hardware that's connecting people, and it's so fast. It's much faster than it was 10 years ago, and it's getting faster now. So people have a need now. They want information instantly, and I think that's kind of become an addiction. So you would have, I think there would be a new term for this. It would be called internet withdrawal syndrome.
I like that. Yeah. Did you just come up with that?
Yeah, I just came up with that.
I like that.
So yeah, it would be a scary place, because it would also allow a lot of people to be able to hack into, or to be able to take over certain very important areas, like the financial system or other. It could also cause problems with security as far as the internet is concerned. So also something it could result in is ID theft, which is a very common thing these days, and it would just make it even worse. So
yeah,
I think overall it would have a very, very negative impact on the society, on people, on technology, and just the way we live our lives.
If this, I'd like to break down the different sectors. Now, if this was to truly happen, let's first talk about the communication breakdown. So I'm going to read something over here. People would lose instant access to email messaging apps, social media platforms, and voice and video calling services. Now, that alone would completely change the way we live our lives. Let's talk a little bit about how will we have to adapt if something like this happens.
Communication, it's so essential right now, like in our day-to-day lives. It's something that's intertwined. Losing it essentially means you're back to the era, maybe 2G, where you're relying on the bare essentials. But even then, if you have that many more people on a network that can no longer support the bandwidth, we're talking about like a very chaotic ecosystem. Forget social media, forget looking up on the internet what's actually happening. We're talking about something like weather updates. We're talking about traffic alerts. We're talking about mass disruption that would come about something like this. So yeah, absolutely. Being unable to communicate with your friends and your family members goes a long way.
Yeah,
when you're disconnected,
especially when you're overseas. You might have to go back to the old school ways of doing things. Postal service, face-to-face interaction. Do you guys remember that? Probably not.
I do.
All of us are always on the phones now. We're soon going to be in the VR and the AR reality. Anyways, let's continue going further here. Now, I'd like to cover another sector here, something that's very important in today's world, especially in Canada, where we live in a very capitalist society. Economic disruptions. Now, online businesses, e-commerce platforms, and digital services would suffer immense losses. Companies that rely heavily on Internet of Sales, marketing, and operations would face significant challenges. Samir, how would this affect the economic realm of things in today's world?
Well, to start off, I think this will have a domino effect. The domino effect being that if the company cannot do business, then it cannot make money, and if it cannot make money, it cannot have people employed, which leads to unemployment. So, just like we are now totally dependent on the internet, not just for entertainment, but also just it's become such a necessity that we can no longer live without it, and we're so connected. And to disconnect, it just, I think it would be so drastic. It's like almost like a nuclear bomb or something hitting us. And so I think economically, you would see businesses shut down, you would see unemployment, you would see crime go up. There will be a total disarray. So yeah, that's what I think it would cause: job losses, like you mentioned, financial instability, just the fact that it controls the ability for people to do business, which has always been ever since people can remember. For to be able to do business is very important, and if that is interrupted or disrupted in any way, that would have far-reaching consequences.
Also, Samir, we experienced this not too long ago. Mike, you mentioned the Rogers blackout.
Yeah.
I remember trying to get gas that day. I filled up my truck, went in to pay it's cash only. I will go to the ATM. Again, can't withdraw cash because it's also connected to the internet. And at that point, I realized, hey, I'm going to have to give this person my word to go back home, pick up my wallet, come back and pay for these services that I'm now using. But imagine in a world where, to Samir's point, there's a domino effect where one service relying on the other is now down. Without the internet, we won't be able to function. And we've experienced the scary side of it not too long ago.
Absolutely. And mind you, this was only about a year ago.
Yeah.
Now, the way things are going, if they're saying that this is going to happen in about a decade, technology is moving at such a fast pace that we heavily rely on it more and more every single day. There's a lot of talk out there about AI and AI taking over jobs. If the internet was down, wouldn't that mean that there would be absolutely no AI?
True.
Now, we live in a world right now where we can quickly adapt to negative situations. But how would somebody running a business adapt to somebody that relies solely on AI? Especially if this is something that's going to happen in 10 years. Are we going to have to go back to doing the traditional ways of how we do business right now, hiring people, doing interviews, Indeed, resume, thank you?
Yeah, I think we evolve. Last couple of years, we've gone through immense changes. We've adapted to those changes. So we'll figure out a way to get by, but it's not a permanent solution. Most definitely it isn't. Because what happens is right now, there's information out there. You can validate that information. You can make decisions based on information that's readily available to you. Once you get into that lifestyle of depending on technology and the internet, not having it means a lot of people will lose their take on reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to quickly mention, just the fact that COVID, as far as relying on the internet, the COVID really made it, brought it up to the forefront. It just kind of really showed companies and people that how important being able to communicate, it is so flexible, it is so easy. It allows also people to actually spend more time with their families because now they have the ability to work from home. So just taking that option away from people, I think, would definitely have a pretty bad impact.
I agree, Samir. And let's get a little bit into the information scarcity. Now, the vast amount of information available on the internet would no longer be accessible. News dissemination would heavily rely on traditional medias like newspapers, television, and radio. Research, education, access to knowledge would be hindered without instant access to online resources. Now, I feel like we live in a society right now where we get all of our information online. Not many people read books. Most of them, if they do read books, it's probably an audio book or an ebook. If we're unable to access information, how could we progress as a society? Would we have to go back to the old school ways of books, thinking for ourselves, doing a little bit of philosophy? Omar, what do you think?
I think there's a risk of a lot of misinformation that would be at risk of. It's almost Chinese whisper at that point. One person says something, it gets decoded as a completely different message, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And by the time you get that information, it's something completely different. When it comes to information today, I think there is credible information out there, and then there's questionable information out there. But the best thing is the ability to validate. Even if there was another way to communicate and, pass around information, validating it would be, I guess, the tough piece.
Absolutely. And I feel like we're in many situations in today's life where we have questions, and if we need answers, we get them in a blink of an eye. How weird would a world be where we have numerous questions to ask, and yet we will never find out the truth? For example,
I'll give you an example.
For example, we use Google. We said, Google it, Google it, Google it. But can you imagine living in a world where you cannot Google it? Unfortunately, you cannot Google it. Now, how many questions are gonna arise in your mind, and how are you gonna be able to handle it? Now, can you imagine this happening on a large scale? Now, I also want to point out that these type of concerns that we currently have right now are very Western driven. I've traveled quite a few countries in my time, and a lot of countries don't heavily rely on this tech stuff. So we'll see where these countries go in the next decade. Obviously, technology is growing at a very fast rate, but this is definitely more of a capitalistic approach. Omar, you wanted to say something?
No, I just wanted to add to the example that Samir is like you and looking at the answer for it. Think about, I start my day, I look at what the weather has to share. I dress accordingly. Like, especially these days, the weather's out of whack. We're in June, it's raining, it's cold. Being able to very quickly access my phone determines my next steps. Of course, I need to get to the office. I need to come here for this podcast. Yeah. How long is it going to take me?
How are you going to find what we haven't stopped? Yeah. You won't be able to find a website. This is going to be a complete disaster, folks.
And that's just the thing. If you have so heavily relied on basic day-to-day aspects of your life, rely on internet, removing it means that you are relearning how to live your life. And I think that is where the shock comes in.
The biggest problem I see with the internet is that, like what happened recently again with COVID was this need or attempt to control information by, by big tech, by big pharma, by the government. Even the government is now relying on the big boys like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. I mean, censorship, just the word censorship is just mind-blowing. I mean, the fact that they can even bring that about, they can even cause this to happen and affect so many people. And I mean, you're walking around, I see people are still afraid of what happened yesterday because they're living in the past. And just the ability to control this kind of information and start and create beliefs. This is what scares me, when I grew up, we did not have this option. We could only watch the TV and that's where we got information, or we could read the newspaper and we got our information. But to be able to influence people at such a large scale and do it successfully, I think this is a big drawback of the internet. And this, I think, is a problem we're going to face going forward. And just the misuse of the internet to control and to create chaos and to create division, that's what I find scary.
All right, Samir, you might just get a lot of new fans today. We'll see what happens, though. But we support Samir here. And I like to continue onto the next sector here, which is a very important sector for especially our children and our kids and our teens that are going to schools, the educational challenges. Online learning platforms, remote education, and access to digital educational resources would disappear. Schools and universities would need to shift to traditional classroom-based teaching methods, potentially leading to capacity and resource challenges. How heavily do we rely on Zoom? How heavily do we rely on remote learning? I mean, COVID was a prime example.
Yes.
Couldn't go to school, so we had to heavily rely on technology over there.
I'm coming from a background where we did not rely on the internet as much. It was always there, but yeah, going to school, I can picture being in a classroom with 30 other students and having like an 8-hour day. And obviously a lot of students still do that, but I think where the challenge will be, again, the quality of the information that is being passed down. It will have to do with, obviously, what is being absorbed. And I'll go back to the inability to validate some of the information.
Mm-hmm.
And that puts us back like 20, 30, 50 years, I would say, in terms of grasping information. So it would really not only impact, if we're saying a few months of not having internet, it would impact at least the next 5 years of how students absorb information. Like so.
Yeah, and a lot of people might say that something like this occurring would be good for society, right? Somebody might say, this would be refreshing for our kids to not constantly be bombarded by the social media posts and always glued to their phone. Now, I'm an avid believer that technology is a beautiful thing if it is used correctly. I think it creates a lot more efficiency in our lives, creates a lot more time to spend with loved ones. But if you're somebody that's saying that this would be a good thing, I don't think that's fair, because we have the option right now to take a step back from using social media, to take a step back from using any form of technology. They call it technology fasts. You can simply turn off your phone, or guess what? You can come to Flipafone and sell us your device if you want. You have that option as well. And we have great prices, believe it or not.
Great plug.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyways, you have the options to take a step back and take your technology fast. Now, I think it's a healthy thing to do once in a while. You know, I like to take my Instagram fasts here and there for 3 weeks to a month or whatever. Although I think it's an integral part to our business, so I like to stay in the loop. Omar, would you agree that the removal of internet, known as the internet apocalypse, could be beneficial, or is this something that's more detrimental to society?
You got to look at the pros and cons here, Mike. And I think the cons would definitely outweigh the pros. I mean, obviously there's benefits here and there. Getting to reconnect socially is an aspect, maybe. Physically meeting up is also another thing. But I think there's more cons to it than pros. So I would say, can we function? Probably not. We're talking about relearning the way we live our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, would you like to add anything else before we move on to the next topic?
Well, as far as the internet, I would say if we can just limit it to businesses being able to do business, I think we would be okay. I mean, as far as the social aspect is concerned, I think we can do without it. But as far as the business, the banking, the communications, the travel, that we heavily rely on. And so that network should, if that can be maintained, yes. But the social aspect, I would say we can do without.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I'm thinking about it now myself. I haven't been on Facebook, Instagram, so a lot of social media for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Don't miss it. Don't care for it. I've occupied, myself doing other things like this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, fantastic. Let's get it moving, guys. A lot to unpack today. There's an interesting article that came out today. Is Reddit dead? The big Reddit blackout is here.
Can we to pull up the article?
Oh, that would be great. Perfect. That would be great. Let's see what this is all about. I've been reading a lot about this, and I initially thought that this could tie into what we just currently talked about. Is it just down completely? But no, there's more to it. Let's unpack. Yeah, great. Fantastic. Omar, do you mind reading a little bit of the article there? The shirt is off, so let's...
Alrighty. Okay, as of the 13th of June, we've updated this article with official quotes, and I'll begin. So Reddit is a lot quieter than usual today, and that's because a large number of subreddits are staying dark as a part of a 48-hour protest against the sites that do in charges for third-party app developers. The blackout, which has been scheduled to last for 48 hours from Monday, June 11th, and could last longer, has seen over 7,700 of Reddit subreddit communities, including most of the biggest ones, go down.
Interesting. So
Very interesting.
So I'm gonna give a brief explanation what's going on here. Users go on strike as Reddit, start to charge users for API access, meaning that everyone that uses API to create third-party applications would now have to pay a hefty fee.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, API access isn't anything new. We have a lot of companies out there that charge for this type of service. Twitter is one of them. A newly acquired company by Elon Musk has implemented this fee recently. But before we continue, let's talk a little bit about what is API. Samir, can you unpack that a little bit?
Well, API, what does that stand for? Application Programmable Interface. So the word interface means that you can interface with that company's data, given based on certain restrictions and rules and guidelines that they have set up prior to your access. So it allows you to access certain data that you can then incorporate into your own website or your own application, which would then be useful for the end user.
Fantastic. So in simple terms, Samir, an API acts as a middleman between you, the developer, and the software, allowing you to make requests for specific information or actions. Now, you can use it for social media integration, content sharing, such as YouTube videos. You guys ever go on a website and you see a YouTube video on a random website? How do they do that? That's called API integration. But what could be the motive here? Now, the question is, why did Reddit all of a sudden start charging for API access?
Trying to go with the premium experience is how I look at it.
Okay.
Yes, the service, like the service has been there for users for the longest time, and now they want to charge for it, which means from their perspective, they're trying to bring about this unique experience to the end user to say, hey, we're now giving you a premium service, and we're going to charge you for it. Obviously, they would also want to filter out a lot of folks that they don't want on Reddit to be posting about on the interface, playing around with the interface. So I think that's the move. The premium experience move is what they're going after.
Okay.
The reason also they would go after something like that is people don't really value something that's there for them for free. You think about any product that you get for free. It takes me to Samsung, and every year they'll give me like a free watch, free buds. It's lying around. I'll give it away. I don't care for it. And that's basically what they're trying to go back on.
Interesting. The one thing I'm not too familiar with Reddit is how does Reddit make its money currently right now? Does anybody know? Can we look into that, Akshay?
Yeah, well, I know definitely they do use advertising.
Oh yeah, definitely advertising. But
Yeah.
I'm really trying to understand. Are they losing money? Are they not making enough money?
I have the answer right here. Reddit's main revenue stream is advertising sales.
Okay, so advertising.
And one of the reasons also, like, why they were doing it is Twitter did it. And they would have observed how things went for Twitter. And they said, hey, if they can do it, why can't we?
Interesting. Samir, anything to add to it?
Well, I think what really got their attention was the AI, the chat GPTs of the world.
Absolutely.
And I think that was basically what's got them thinking. They just don't want to give this stuff away for free. They feel like they've earned it. They've been around for a long time. They've got a huge amount of information that they have, and they just don't want to give it away. I think they're not really looking at the whole picture, because I mean, and also they're going to be going IPO. I mean, pretty soon they want to be going IPO. So I think they're also looking at from an investor standpoint. But I think what really makes a company or internet or any sort of social media website is free access. Free access has always worked, and it will always work. So, and what is the content? The content is these Reddits, right? Subreddits. And so if you're going to go after the people that are, or the companies or the institutions that are actually providing you content, I think you're playing a very dangerous game. And I think that's what's happening here. I mean, Twitter, you have people tweeting. It's not something that, it's not like a forum. This is a forum. This is where a lot of people come to get information.
How many of you actually use Reddit on a day-to-day basis? Do you use Reddit?
I do not on a day-to-day basis.
How would you typically use it?
I use it either as a marketplace, because there are subreddits that do sell certain specific vintage lenses or niche products, as well as I use it as to get opinions from other people. So depending on if I like cameras, if I'm considering buying a camera, I look at their opinion, see what the pros and cons are. Pretty much that's what I use it for.
Yeah, that's great. I use Reddit all the time, and the cool thing about Reddit is it's very localized. So, for example, you want to ask a question within Richmond Hill or Markham or Toronto, let's say. You're going to write, I have a question within Toronto about where is the best place to buy a pre-owned device. And, of course, the answer is always going to be Flipafone. But it's nice to get that personalized touch, like there's a real human being behind the advice. A lot of times the traditional ways was Google it. But the problem with Google is you get so much information out there that you don't know where to start. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's fake. When you go to Reddit, it feels somewhat authentic. And it feels that there's a human element to it, right? Now, Samir briefly spoke about AI. I feel like Reddit understands that AI is slowly becoming a prominent figure in the game. A lot of people are going to start using AI to get their information, to get real-time advice. Why would I go to Reddit if I can just write in ChatGPT? Give me an opinion. Should I go for this or should I go for that? And most of the time, it'll give you a great answer. And I feel like people are slowly shifting away from the Reddit community and moving more towards an AI type of service or something such as an LLM machine learning service. Omar, do you feel like this might be the reason why they're trying to gain some more income here?
Yeah, absolutely. I always think about the why behind a decision, and the biggest why here seems to be providing an experience. Ultimately, it's obviously to make money, but providing an experience that justifies, why someone would want to go to Reddit, or why they would want to use the service. Now, you think about a company like Apple, for example. You go to apple.com. I don't think there's a service on there that's free. True. Not a single service. Apple TV, Apple Music, Arcade, you name it. They have built an experience. You want to be a part of that experience, you've got to pay the premium. The only mistake, I guess, for some of these companies is that they've already offered a version of that experience for free. So they really have to differentiate what it is that they will offer for that premium price one.
Anyway, I feel like for the simple fact that everybody's going on strike shows you that Reddit is a prominent figure in the space and that they do provide a lot of value. Now, if someone or a business provides a lot of value and they want to start charging for it, if there is truly value in it, then I'd say stop complaining and figure it out. Adapt. So, you know what? I think there's a lot of fuss going on for no reason here.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think Reddit's going to pick it back up and then get moving. Did you guys want to add anything to the last topic here?
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing. What Reddit has got going for it is UGC, user-generated content. User-generated content is very powerful. I mean, you can see that in TikTok. And I think, as far as people, when they go to buy something, they want to see a review. So I think that's somewhere where AI cannot really replace that. So I think that aspect of Reddit is what is keeping it going and has kept it going and will continue to keep it going. As far as what they're doing with the fees, I think they're just overstretching. I think, what they should do is have a tier, maybe have like 3 or 4 tiers based on, and have a different pricing scale, like, based on how much use, the size of the company that wants to use them. I think if they kind of went that way, I think it might work, but just having a blanket policy the way they have right now, I think that's not.
Yeah, it's all about marketing. They can always say that, hey, we're offering you a premium service. This is the Reddit Plus.
Exactly.
And for the Plus service, you got to pay the premium. So,
Yeah, so you see all of these businesses now charging for the check marks. There's always going to be ways to make more money. Anyways, let's move to the next topic. Last episode, we talked a lot about, potentially the biggest Apple product to ever come out, the Apple Vision Pro. But I don't know if you guys saw that video, but did you guys see the crowd's reaction when they announced the price?
Yeah.
Akshay, can you find that video?
Yeah.
So it's going to be on YouTube. Search up crowd reaction to Apple Vision Pro press.
and that reaction doesn't get old.
No, it doesn't hit.
It reminds me of when the iPhone 10 was announced at that $1,000.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Similar.
Yeah. I mean, one of the craziest things for me that I can recall when it comes to Apple and pricing particular items. Do you guys remember when they priced I think it was the Apple wheels or the Apple stand for the
$700 wheel?
the some crazy stuff like that. Literally $700 for a pair of how many? At least 4 of them, right? Or the repair. Yeah, just I don't know how many they sold, but just go to Home Depot, buy them for like $5. Yeah, I don't see the point. Yeah, Tesla's also another company that likes to, overprice. Oh, here's a reaction. Apple Vision Pro. Let's see what happens here.
Starts at $34.99. It will be available early next year on Apple.com and at Apple retail stores in the U.S. when Apple Vision Pro starts.
One more time for the views.
At $34.99.
Oh,
You're gonna bring it here
oh,
Apple.com.
$34.99
U.S.
$46.99 Cali, yeah. Super expensive stuff, but what if I told you that Apple is already working on a cheaper alternative? Now, we have another article here. Akshay, they can bring that up. Yeah. I think this is definitely a good news for Apple.
Yeah.
If this is truly the case, of course, these are all speculations. But knowing Apple's
The probability of something like this is very real because you got to look at the historicals. You look at the iPhone, there's like the Pro and the non-Pro version of the iPhone. Same thing with the Apple Watch, same thing with the AirPods. There's like a regular one, a Pro, and now the Max. Same thing is happening with the computers now. There's like one that is supported by the regular chip, the Pro, and the Ultra. So, yeah, no, I have no doubt in my mind that there will be 2 versions of this headset.
Apple's Vision Pro 8R headset has already become a very divisive topic of discussion since it was unveiled at Tech Titan's WWDC 2023 event on June 5th. Those lucky enough to get hands-on time with the device have said it blows the competition away, of course. But it also has some rather cursed features and carries an insanely hefty price tag of $34.99. Good news for the cash-strapped Apple fans, though the company is, according to reports, already working on 2 new Vision headset models. The first is a 2nd-generation Vision Pro, which will presumably come with the M3 processor and an even higher price tag. The second, though, is purported to be a cheaper model, something Apple will sorely need if it wants to capture the headset market. Can we scroll down a little bit? What else we got going on there? The new details come from the infamous Apple leaker Bloomberg correspondent Mark Gurman. We love Mark Gurman here. Who knows that Apple is likely going to take its usual Pro/non-Pro approach to the Vision Pro product lineup. Similar to the iPhone and iPhone Pro, like Omar has recently remarked on, or the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro, Gurman doesn't discuss pricing for non-Pro Vision headset. However, given the eye-watering asking price for the Vision Pro, it's fair to say that the cheaper Apple Vision headset would be much appreciated. Now, that's something we definitely cannot deny. Now, I think Omar definitely brought up a good point. Looking at Apple's product historically, they always had different tiers within their product. And whenever they release a brand new product, they usually like to release a Pro model of it. You had the X originally came out, which later turned into the 11 Pro, and then they released a cheaper alternative. So they gave it that Pro name. And looking at the Vision Pro, it already has the name Pro within the name, which means that there probably will be, I don't know, a Vision XR or a Vision Air or a Vision Mini or whatever.
Electron.
Yeah, no, the Ultra that's coming. That's the next one.
I think it'll come down to what's missing on the non-Pro versus the Vision Pro. I think they'll just call it the Vision and the Vision Pro.
Yeah.
To keep it simple. But I guess let's talk about the non-Pro version for a second. The non-Pro most likely will come with similar features. The cameras might not be the same. The pixel per inch might not be the same. You might get lower pixel per inch. The controls on it might be like haptic. Even like something like scrolling with your eyes might be limited, and you might have to use like a scroll wheel or something like that, or a touchpad that comes with it to actually access data. Other than that, I think overall battery life might be another thing that might be, I guess, not as comparable to the other version. And obviously the processor, we already read that the processor won't be the same. So I think absolutely Apple would want to do that. They want to differentiate folks that have the Pro versus the non-Pro. They want people to have a taste of what it is to have, what it's like to have a Vision, Apple Vision, but they definitely wanted to differentiate between that and the Pro.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I would also add to it that I have a feeling that there would be a big distinction between the Pro model, which would have both AR and VR, as opposed to the cheaper model might just have the AR functionality. And I feel like a lot of people would probably just prefer AR. Most of us can use it on a day-to-day basis. VR is something that you kind of use for entertainment purposes. So if they were to design something with the simple functionality of just AR, that would be a good move for Apple, most likely.
Yeah, actually, I think they're not even calling it VR or headset. They're calling it spatial computing.
Yeah.
And
Is this a point?
spatial computing is basically where they want to lead the game. They want that to get popular. They want people to be walking around with their glasses on. Similar to what happened with Google's, was it the Google glasses?
The Google Glass, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently that there was some major, I don't know, maybe the timing was not right or something just didn't work out. So I think what they're doing is they want to pick up from that. They want to take that and they want to take it to the next level. It's just everything that they're doing with it, they're also incorporating and the ability to easily transfer between AR and VR. And they have actually, I was reading this, they have a knob on the right-hand side. They have a little knob which kind of you can rotate and kind of go back and forth between VR and AR, which I think was quite neat. So, yeah, I think what's happening, like Michael was mentioning, was that I think they are going to come out with a VR only, and they're also going to do an AR, which might, kind of like.
Yeah, it will satisfy a lot of people.
Exactly. It's just, but like I said, spatial computing is where they want to go, and they want to create that market and want to lead that market. And I think that's what's going to distinguish them from the competition. VR is old news. It's been around for a long time. I don't think that's the market they're going after. They want to go after something that more people can use, easier to use, more user-friendly, more day-to-day use, something you're going to use on a daily basis, not just, oh, let's go watch a movie, so I'm going to put on these these bulky devices on my head and, walk around looking like a zombie. No, they want something that is going to be stylish, it's going to be fashionable, it's going to be acceptable, and it's going to be mainstream.
And Samir, Apple is all about giving you the option, but differentiating as well at the same time. I'm thinking of something as recent as the Apple Watch Ultra. They came out, they said, hey, this watch is not for you. It's for athletes. It's for divers. It's, it's like a computer on your wrist. And a lot of people said, watch me. You just said, I can't buy the watch. Watch me. And you're wearing one. You're wearing one, and I'm wearing one. So, so I think they'll position it in a way where they'll make it available as a pro and a non-pro, but a lot of people will want that pro model as well.
Absolutely. Now, speaking about pro models, we have some new iPhone 15 Ultra leaks.
Oh, yes.
What do we got going on here? So
You want to pull up the article on it? Or
no, it's fine. It's just some updated information. iPhone 15 Ultra leaks could have a titanium frame and an action button. Sound familiar? Apple Watch Ultra. Does everybody have one? Apple Watch Ultra team? Let's go. Right there. Let's go. All right. Expected to have A17 chip, periscope cameras, and a shiny thin display bezel. Sounds cool. A17 chip could outperform A16 by 20%. That would be amazing. Expected to use USB Type-C. That is old news. That's something that we definitely should expect in a new phone, and all new phones coming out by Apple. Will likely be Apple's most expensive iPhone yet. Now, the iPhone 15 Ultra, I'm using the word Ultra. We don't know if it's going to be called Ultra. We're assuming. Now, if it's going to come out with a titanium frame and action button, it definitely must cost more. Knowing Apple, they're going to put a hefty price tag on that thing. Also hearing about a solid state button, something like on the Apple Watch Ultra. So I'm just here. Just imagine the Apple Watch Ultra in an iPhone.
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, there's nothing for you to understand. My Siri. See, I didn't even say, hey Siri. If I just have to say Siri, it'd be going off all the time. Anyways, Omar, what do you want to see in the new iPhone 15 Ultra? Do you like the name? Would you rather call it Max?
I probably would go with the Ultra. The Max is now, it's a dying trend since we got the 10S Max. And you move to Pro, and Pro Max is now Pro is associated to Max. So Ultra is definitely a different iPhone. Using the Apple Watch Ultra, Mike, my iPhone will break, not because I'm careless, but because it breaks. I had an incident with the watch once, whacked it into a metal frame, not even a scratch. And it got me thinking, I'm like, titanium body on an iPhone means a very, very durable iPhone. And not just that, I think some of the changes will have to do with a telephoto lens on there. Better sapphire glass on the lens, probably the front as well. And they're creating a very robust phone that I guess a lot of people will opt for. If I had to compare this to like a first-gen product like the Vision Pro, I think people would not have a doubt in their mind that even if this was like a $2,000 iPhone, they'd probably go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what Omar was saying as far as durability. I mean, I think they're really going for durability. And they want it to be more mainstream, not like, we got titanium, this is more durable now. They want more people to be able to afford it. They want more people to be able to see the benefits of it and use it, but they still want to keep it a little bit above. They want to keep that distinction. And I think, that's what you're going to see. I mean, better camera, faster processor, that's all there. And the aesthetics, of course, they're going to make it look better. They're going to use better materials, to keep that price differential in place. But I think titanium is what's going to happen, is what's coming.
I'm very excited for titanium because I always think of aluminum to stainless steel.
True.
And I remember those iPhone 6S Pluses that used to bend for no good reason, and then the iPads used to bend. Then some of the iPads were, up until very recently, also used to bend. I think going from that to stainless steel was like mind blowing. I was like, wow, like I didn't know I could have an iPhone that was really, really solid build. You just take that solid build and you multiply it by 2.
And you also reduce the weight.
Yep.
How much lighter will it be?
Yeah.
Now,
I just want to quickly, sorry, mention this. Back in the days when we were first starting out, and we used to do a check. I remember Mike used to tell me, make sure the phone is not bent. And it just reminded me of that time when,
oh yeah, that was part of a check.
yeah, that was part of a checklist. And then, Michael, I remember he showed me this phone. We did a full comparison. And, can you see the bend?
That's back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember the iPhone 6 back.
Yeah, it was it's funny, but yeah, it's so
And
funny.
it's funny, the impact of the iPhone 6 or Bendgate was up until this day. We can find videos on YouTube where people will actually try and bend the phone just to see if it bends.
Yeah.
Most of them don't bend,
Yeah.
but the bend test has become a thing.
Yeah.
We're talking 7 years on.
Yeah.
I guess it might have been part of the first original batch, and I think it was more common on the 6S Plus models. They had probably a little bit more space there to bend. But let's have some fun here. iPhone 15 Ultra, what kind of colors do you want to see?
I will probably, I'd like to see obviously space black, a darker version of space black and a silver. Those would be my go-tos.
Okay.
If they have 3 other colors, I would probably want those colors as well. Red, not so much.
Nice.
So Samir, I see you're checking out your space black iPhone.
Yeah.
What do we have?
I don't know, you're a deep purple guy.
I'm always going for the color that's the latest color out. So this year I got the deep purple. Last year I had, for the 13 Pro Max, I had what was it called? Alpine green.
Alpine green.
That was probably my favorite color, as you guys know.
Yeah.
I'm a green guy. I love my car. My Tesla's green as well. Previously, before that, I had the 12 Pro Max Pacific Blue. As you can see, it's always the most trendiest color out there. I like the new colors. I'm kind of bored with the space grays, the golds, and the silvers, although the golds do seem to get nicer over time.
Yeah.
But if I had to see a color, if it's not green, I would like to see... I would like to see a red. A nice, dark, bloody red. What do you guys think?
Not for me. I'd rather go with the brown. I still remember the S1 with Ultra and that brown.
What about like a bronzish, orangish?
I'll worry you with that. I think they can pull it off.
That would be cool.
They could pull it off.
Something classy,
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
The reds could be classy, like a cherry red. Something nice, clean. Can you just envision like a cherry red, old school Mustangs?
I know a lot of people are still missing out on the Sierra Blue from last year. Like a lot of folks that got the 14 said, I wish I had it.
And that was a beautiful color. I think that's the one color I skipped out on. I thought it was too girly.
It could come back.
But it was a beautiful color. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
I think many people can pull it off.
So you're still looking at your phone.
I'm still looking at my phone, and
Are you
I
thinking you picked out the wrong color here, or?
Samira always likes to go for the color that I choose. I always choose something else. That's why last year I said, "Oh, I love this. What is it called? The space black.
Yeah.
I love the space black. I really want the space black." He said, "No, but I don't want the space black." So I was actually lying. I played a pre-calculated game here. I said one color. He said he wants it, and I said, yes, deep purple.
And I remember you did that with the white as well. I think you threw him off with a different color, and you ended up getting that color.
Me and Samir have a lovely relationship.
yeah,
We do to each other.
yeah, no. I mean, he pre-calculated, and I pre-calculated on top of that.
I think it's a beautiful color, space black. If you need,
But you're saying you want the space black. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have the space black. So
Yeah,
what if he actually doesn't the space black?
just get one of each.
it's a mind game.
each.
It's a mind game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weekdays, weekends, different colors.
And if he does get it right, I'll play the mind game and we try how did you do it?
Time will tell. We'll see.
All right, let's keep it moving here, guys. Samsung Fold 5 and Flip 5 updates. Now, I'm going to briefly go through the potential updates here and leaks. But, I mean, if we're going to look at Fold 3 to the Fold 4, I think that was a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
Huge disappointment.
Yeah.
The Fold 4, pretty much identical in terms of how it looks, how it operates, maybe slight upgrades in the camera. But you got the number 5 coming out. I think 5 is a very prominent number, and it has to be a staple in the foldable game. Now, there's a lot of competition coming out there right now. Google recently released the Google Fold. We had some other companies. Overseas, a lot of companies trying to push those, but clearly Samsung still has the upper hand. They still are the number one selling foldable phones out there in the market. All right, let me just tell you about the leaks first, okay? And then we could talk a little bit about what we expect from the phone. What do you want bet? Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. 50 megapixels plus a 12 megapixel DW plus a 10 megapixel telephoto. All right, and then we got the Z5, Z Flip 5, 12 megapixels and 12 megapixels. We're looking for an improved hinge. That's the biggest topic that we get to the folding mechanism. New image sensors, large outer displays, and Qualcomm Snapdragon for Galaxy. Now, this is some of the things that we're hearing here. Yeah. Now, I personally don't use Samsung devices. I play around with them here and there, but what are some of the things that you want to see being an average Samsung Fold user? What kind of improvements can they make?
I've been following the news on the foldable for a while now. I think it's been a few months that I've been following it. I was reading an article today that, and I quote, Samsung employees are saying that this is not even worthy of being called a Fold 4S. So that means there's very, very small changes that we know of so far with this foldable. There's improvements to the hinge. There might be dust resistance coming in. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I think the design is getting a little stale, in my opinion. And this might be the first year that I skip the foldable if it comes out to be looking like the Fold 4.
Or the Fold 3.
Or the Fold 3.
Interesting.
I haven't really looked into the Fold. I'm not a big fan of the Fold. I just want to know, when is Apple going to jump into the game? Is that ever going to happen? Because I keep hearing about it. I keep seeing all these mock-ups, but...
Bro, there's going to be no more phones. In the next 5, when they're going to get into the foldable phones, I guarantee you, there's going to be no more phones. Yeah. They're going to be obsolete. All right? Now, what are some of the things you actually would love to see on the new foldable device?
What I would love to see, okay, I have the S23 Ultra. I really love the 200 megapixel sensor and the output that it is able to produce. I would love to see a 200 megapixel sensor on the same phone. It's a premium phone.
So same type of camera that the S23
I would love to, yeah. I would
absolutely
love that.
That would be a nice upgrade.
I know a lot of people talk about the S Pen. I mean, it comes in handy every now and then. It will be a nice to have, not something I would need necessarily. Outside of that, obviously, maybe the Gen 2 will improve battery life, so can't complain on the Fold's battery life. But I would say a lighter Fold is definitely something that I would appreciate. Reason being, like, I like to carry two phones at one point in time, and it gets really, really difficult carrying a foldable and a regular slab with you. So I think I might go as far as, I was just thinking about it when you're talking about Apple, a titanium Fold. Not unheard of. Would be a nice phone to have.
That would be interesting, of course. Another thing that I definitely got to mention when it comes to the foldable devices is that crease. Now, obviously, it's huge improvements from the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, we're currently on 4, but definitely a lot of huge improvements from the 1 and 2. The 3, I think that's where they made a huge jump. But it's still annoying for a lot of people. You can still see that crease. Is it possible to completely remove that crease? And is that something you would love to see in the next upcoming folds in the future?
Samir, you want to go on this one?
You like those creases?
I'll briefly say I would definitely like to see that crease gone.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Unless they can use some sort of other material.
Yeah, I think that they've made progress with the ultra thin class. I was playing around with the Oppo Find N2. Yeah, they've done a really good. They've got an excellent implementation of getting rid of the crease, but I think it comes at the cost of not having an IP rating.
Yeah.
To be honest, like for an average user, you don't feel the crease. If you're using it on a daily basis, you don't see the crease. I think this is more for when the device comes out, you start nitpicking.
Yeah.
Yes, it would be nice to not have it, but you've got to appreciate the device and what it is able to do. But I think for a foldable, Samsung really needs to revisit how tall that device is. It's a very tall device.
I agree.
And they could shrink it and make it a little wider.
Yeah, and I think when it's in folded, when it's in a folded state, it's still fairly bulging in your pocket.
It is.
Back to the foldable crease. Personally, when I open it up, I feel like I have like this ADD reaction. It's like, oh, what is that crease? Instead of looking at it as a tablet or one screen, I automatically revert to it being a dual screen.
Right.
And that's something that's annoying to me personally, and I'm staying away from the foldables for now until they get it mastered.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like Samir said, if Apple comes out with a foldable design, I guarantee you it ain't gonna have no creases thing.
The other thing as well, this is a trend. The Fold 1, we can skip that. It was a first-gen product. Fold 2, 3, and 4. With all three of these devices, one thing that's pretty common is with the number of folds that the phone goes through like every year, at the 10-month to 1 year mark, the screen protector starts peeling off, and then the screen starts breaking right away.
I always start to hear the creak.
Yeah, we start hearing the creak, and I mean, then support isn't the greatest. Like, you'll hear like all 1,000 reasons why this could have happened, but I think that definitely is one of the reasons why people stay away from foldables. So
Yeah, I think it's a very fragile device. I mean, you mentioned you would love to see it in titanium. Yeah, it's one of the devices where if you break it, there is no fixing it, unfortunately. It's going to cost you way more money to fix it than what it's actually worth. And that is if you're damaging, the actual dual screen within the phone.
a lot of people also tend to keep their phone 2, 3, sometimes even 4 years.
Yeah.
You look back at the Fold 1, and I can almost guarantee there's going to be a handful of people that are still using the Fold 1. As opposed to that, think of the iPhone of that year. A lot of people will still have that, like the 10, the 11, or let's say somewhere around them.
Sure. Very good point.
We would probably still see people using the 11 Pro and an iPhone 10 for another couple of years. That's the driving factor in why I will still opt for that iPhone.
Good point. Anything else to add on here, guys? No. Let's move on to the last and final phone here. I would consider this device probably my favorite Android device. I like the way they operate business as a company, and I think they make very good-looking devices. And the colors and the way they name the phones in terms of the colors are very, very out of the box. Google Pixel 8. Let's talk a little bit about the leaks here. Now, Google Pixel 7 has a great or Google Pixel in general has a great reputation when it comes to the camera world. They make some really great cameras, and they also use a lot of really cool AI techniques, such as the magic laser tool and stuff like that. So they're able to accompany a great camera with some great AI to get some really good images. Now, Akshay, do you mind opening up the article on Android Authority? I think I gave you the link.
Yeah, we got that.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's just break down the additional specs here. Now, I'm thinking that the overall functionality of the device and sizes will probably remain the same. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom there. I'll tell you when to stop. Now, keep going. So you guys can kind of see the camera build that they're trying to pull off here. I think they have a broken down spec sheet. If you continue scrolling, keep going. Oh, right there. Perfect. So what do we got here? We got a Pixel 7 compared to a Pixel 8. So we have we're going to go with the new Samsung Gen 2 50 megapixel camera. So on the wide camera, it still remains the same. 12 megapixel camera still remains the same on the ultra wide. We're going to skip the telephoto because the Pixel 7 does not have a telephoto. And we're going to assume that the Pixel 8 is not going to have a telephoto. The selfie camera also going to remain at 11 megapixels. When we jump to the 7 Pro model, we're going to look at the wide angle camera. This is going to remain the same at 50 megapixels. So all across the board, Pixel 7, 8 Pro, and 7 Pro, all going to have the same wide angle cameras. When you start looking into the ultra wide, that's where the Pro model jumps into play here. So we got a 64 megapixel on the 8 Pro compared to 12 megapixel on the 7 Pro. So that's a drastic jump here. Now, there's a lot of talks about a telephoto lens on the Google Pixel. Also, Apple, I've heard talking a lot about what's that specific lens feature you were talking about?
The pedestal for astrophotography.
So that they would be using the telescope. Yeah, telephoto. Okay, so Over here, they're going to be adding an additional new lens over here, the telephoto at 48 megapixels with a 5 times zoom ratio.
I do want to add, obviously, a lot of people have the misconception of megapixels, like the more megapixels, the better.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to pixel fitting. The S23 Ultra compared to the S22 has actually gone down from 64 megapixels to 12 for the selfie. And it is absolutely phenomenal what it can do just because of software. So I think if this goes hand in hand with good software, they can actually produce like some phenomenal images.
What mobile device, in your opinion, has the best camera right now?
Hands down, it has to be the S23 Ultra.
Okay, do you think Google can regain the title as the best mobile camera in the world with the upcoming model?
They could, but I think what Samsung is doing with that 200 megapixel sensor and how they're fitting it down, like using software, it's going to be tough. And for anyone who's an S23 Ultra user and has been one for at least a few weeks, will know the difference. But I think it's going to be a tough one because it comes down to software, as I said. Google has a reputation of having some really, really amazing cameras in the past, and I think it's good that we have that kind of competition because that's the only thing that's going to push Samsung to come out with a better camera. Experience is very similar in terms of software and UI, and like most of them are on 8 Gen 2, the processor.
Yeah.
I think it will come down to when you are, for example, sending that portrait over to a friend. For example, in the past, I had the S20 Ultra. I would send that over to my iPhone. Horrible. The frames were off. Like the image wouldn't fit. Like I had to zoom in to fit my iPhone and all of that. I think it comes down to software integration.
Yeah.
And the better they integrate it, the better apps run on these platforms, the easier the UI, and the easier the UI, you have more people actually going towards the device. It's not just a camera in today's world is not the only thing that will win you a market share.
Amazing. Yeah. Very good breakdown. Thank you, Amr. I think we're going to finish up today's podcast with some trivia. Actually, let me get
Really questions from
I like that. Let's get it going. All right, guys, let's get back to the whiteboard.
Hit the whiteboard.
Do an extra video.
We're going to start off with the easy one, and then we're going to work our way down to a little bit harder.
Fantastic. Can play some live music to pump us up.
You want to play the intro song? Let's go. Let's go.
Edge yourself.
All right, let's pump it up a little bit.
Think Bob.
Should I bust out a freestyle every episode or something? What do you guys think?
I am money from my number.
All right, you guys ready?
Ready.
It's my lowered a little bit. So.
Just a little bit. Actually, very bare minimal. All right.
It's turkey. All right. First question. 1 gigabyte is equal to how many megabytes?
Done.
Say that again.
1 gigabyte is equal to how many megabytes?
Ben is stuck.
This is an easy question, man. You guys.
Response is my penis. You can't get this wrong.
Everyone has their answer?
Samir, can you need a minute? You got the answer?
Yeah.
Everyone has that. So 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Everyone one is correct. It says 1,000. I don't know if it's
1024.
1,000.
So every
I believe he's right.
So precise.
And technically, yeah, you're probably precise.
So he gets a point.
We don't look at those little megabytes, but I give it time.
It says 1,000, so
1024 every single time. So just for everyone's reference, 1 megabyte becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1 terabyte, and then
Yeah.
I did the point to everyone on this because he was the most specific, but it is 1,000.
1024.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It is 1024.
Next question. You guys ready?
Let's go.
Think was the company motto for more than 40 years from the company often referred to as Big Blue. What is this frequently acronymed company? You guys know this.
Can you repeat the question?
Think was the company motto for more than 40 years for the company often referred to as Big Blue. What is this frequently acronymed company?
You want the full acronym?
No, what is the abbreviated version of the...
Yeah, that's easy.
All right, let's show the answers. 1, 2, 3.
IBM,
I didn't know.
IBM, yeah.
Oh, you didn't.
I didn't know it was Harrods. I'm not from that era, guys. Sorry. What was Apple's think? What were they different? I think different. That's what I was referring to. Okay.
So IBM was...
IBM stands for International Business Machine.
Yeah, I definitely did not follow anything IBM. I learned it a little bit in university, but boring. That's next.
I have the right answer. Is I drive past Steele's Avenue and I see it.
I thought you looked at my board.
Yeah, I would definitely not know that. That's a great question.
All right, next question, question number 3. Which video game console released in 2006 pioneered the use of motion controls in its gameplay?
What year?
2006. Everyone should know this one, man. It was a big console back in the day.
Yeah.
I'll get this one wrong. I'm not a gamer.
Okay.
I think I'll get this right.
All right, is everybody ready? 1, 2, 3.
That is correct. What is it?
I got some.
Sorry, okay.
Nintendo Wii.
Nintendo Wii. This is a little bit of the next question. Will give me a little...
Yeah, I was never an avid gamer when I was young. I did have the PS1, and quite frankly, I never liked the Wii. I thought it was
I thought it was glorified Game Boy, pretty much.
yeah, I thought it was an excuse because they were promoting the idea of staying fit within. That was actually, come to think of it, that was like the original.
Wii Fit.
Even stood on. I know. I got it.
Come to think about it, that was like the original AR.
That's what I thought.
right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like you're using interesting concepts and you're playing with something
say that
in a
in
virtual reality, right? Very interesting concept. How far it's come, but I never liked it because I'd rather do those physical activities at home, and outside, not at home, and that's that. Next.
All right, question number 4. This is gonna be the last 2 questions are gonna be a little bit more difficult, but you guys should know it.
I know this shit.
ByteDance is a Chinese internet technology company headquartered in Beijing that is most famously the owner of what mega popular social media platform?
Can you repeat the question? I missed it.
Yes, all right. ByteDance is a Chinese internet technology company headquartered in Beijing that is most famously the owner of what popular social media platform? You guys use this on a daily basis?
I don't.
I definitely don't.
Michael's always on my case because of it.
Yeah, I dislike. I dislike it a lot. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what are the results?
TikTok, everyone got that right. TikTok.
Speaking about TikTok, let's do one. Oh man, remember when TikTok first came out? Man, even I was doing dances. I'm not gonna lie. I was like practicing in the mirror. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna follow the trend.
Yeah.
I said one day I'm just like, no, never again, never again. Thank you.
All right, last question. Question number 5. What startup acquired by Facebook for $1 billion in 2012 became the fourth most downloaded app in the 2010s and is known for posting pictures?
All right.
Posting pictures. Known for posting pictures, yes.
So yeah, you have to finish that because Facebook pretty much bought it, isn't it?
You want me to repeat the question or you guys allowed?
No, it's pretty straightforward. I'd say we should ask one more question right after that, but
I'll get one more question ready for you. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Instagram.
we got Instagram. Perfect. We got the gram. We got the gram. If you guys want to follow us on Instagram, it's Flipafone, FLIPAFONE. You're gonna get all of the latest updates and all these little short clips on our podcast all over there. And guess what? We got our store connected to Instagram now as well. Go on there, check it out. Let us know what you think.
Are we doing a bonus question?
Yeah, one bonus question. Cool, get into that.
And also, if you have any questions, you know what to do. Hit the DM. Hit us on a DM.
Okay, this is a little bit hard.
DM us on a little. It's no problem.
Harder. Okay, I don't know if you guys are gonna get to this one.
All right, I like hard questions. Let's go.
In 1998, Jeff Bezos made a deal with a British film fan called, how do you say this? He made a deal with a British company, let's just say. He made a deal with a British company to purchase What movie database site for $55 million?
Whoa, $55 million sorry, what year?
In 1998. So he purchased this from a British company.
Who purchased what?
Jeff Bezos made a deal with a British company to purchase what movie database site for $55 million?
He had that much money in 1998?
Yeah.
I saw him in a garage at that time. Does that make sense?
He was loaded. He was loaded in 1998. I can guarantee you that.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe.
He was not a billionaire, but he definitely did the review.
What?
For movie.
Got it.
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong, but what the hell?
Reviews of what?
For movies. For
Got it.
yes.
Maybe I'm wrong, but what the hell?
Reviews of what?
For movies, for TV shows, people usually refer to it as their kind of, oh, this is what the rating of the specific movie is.
I only know one, so I'm going to write that.
There's only two, but I'm going to say this one.
Okay.
All right. 3.
On second.
I don't even know this.
I always get mixed up with the last two hitters. But 1, 2, 3.
I don't know.
Go. Perfect. IMDb. IMDb. Is that what you will? Oh, no. It's IMDb.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
IMDb.
Yeah.
I use IMDb almost.
Gotcha. Yeah, I use that as a reference for any movie that I watch.
What's your cutoff point? You're not watching.
Rotten Tomatoes was another good answer.
Yeah, is that what
The second one was in it.
now, what's your cutoff count with IMDb? Does everybody use IMDb here?
I never.
Okay, so Akshay, what's your cutoff point for? I know TV shows and movies are judged differently. What's your cutoff point for a movie? What
For
are
movies,
Yeah.
it's 7. Or if I'm trying to watch a good movie, I know a good movie is 7 and up.
Yeah.
If it's an entertaining movie, maybe a 6. I'll watch a 6, but never a 5.
Yeah, definitely not a 5. If you're watching a 5,
But for TV shows, 8 and up.
100%. TV shows definitely 8 and up. I would highly agree with that. And for movies, I'm not watching anything past
A 6.
6. Yeah, a 6 might still be. I saw some really good movies rated at a 6. But if you're a 5.9er, get out of my cider. All right. Do we have any more questions for today?
Do you want any more questions?
Should we do one more? Let's do one very difficult one.
Very difficult one. Yeah. Let's see. Do we find something difficult? All right. You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
What computer security company founded by namesake John in 1987 before being acquired by Intel in 2011 is well known for its antivirus software that is available to individual consumers?
I'm gonna assume there's only one that I know of, but let's see if I'm right. Can you repeat the question one more time just in case?
What computer security company founded by namesake John in 1987 before being acquired by Intel in 2011 is well known for its antivirus software that is available to individual consumers?
All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's show the answers.
McAfee, what did you write?
Norton.
So McAfee was the incorrect answer.
Now that you guys say it makes sense. Now Norton, would that even make sense?
I don't think Norton existed, but it is a security.
Norton didn't exist, right? It still does. But yeah, McAfee, definitely a great answer. Yeah, that's definitely what it was. All right, guys, today was definitely an exciting episode, and I want to make this very clear. There wasn't a lot of tech news that came out, but we had a lot of fun talking about, the internet apocalypse, and you just use our imagination of where the stuff could go. All right, guys, that's a wrap with the podcast, and I'd like to formally thank all of our viewers for watching our podcast today. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and make sure you like the video. And without further ado, my name is Mike.
I'm Omar.
And I'm Samir.
And that's a wrap.